grown since then.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I was stationed in Germany, so I had no problem buying alcohol over there.
Well, and Masa, that's a perfect segue, though. I'm with Jeff. I think the 18, drinking age should be that. If you're serving the country, you should be able to drink a beer. I as much as I do not like alcohol, you guys know, and it's not my thing because alcohol and I enjoy each other too much, right?
Yeah.
But the key is that you, Masa, go to a completely different country. You can drink. Jeff doesn't. He's in a war zone. Still can't have a legal beer.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think, like, the Post at the time, you could drink if you were only 18, or they just didn't bother to check ID or something. But for the most part, if you were, wearing uniform, you could go on Post and drink without being carded, or I don't know if that was just kind of a understood agreement or something. But yeah, obviously out in the civilian world, you couldn't.
Right. Which, and now today's military, you absolutely cannot drink unless you're 21, which is ridiculous. And Jeff, I am with you. I believe this country should have a mandatory 2-year service. I think that 2 years from 18 to 20, you're so impressionable, but you also so don't know what the hell you're going to do with your life. So why not get a trait, learn something, and learn some, structure, rigidity, and perform and do something for your country. I don't know. That's the way I feel, guys. What about y'all?
Well, Germany and Israel, both Germany and Israel and Switzerland have that mandatory, rules. So, I mean, from what I've seen, it doesn't, it definitely helps out the populace in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I feel the same way. That I don't think that there's not anything negative about doing it, if you ask me, because there's so many positives that a person can have from having that experience. And that's one thing that you can't learn from a book is life experience.
Yeah.
You can't study life experience. You have to experience
it a little bit.
There's no other way to replicate it. There's no other way for you to substitute for it. That life experience is something that no one can give to you, but at the same time, no one can take it away.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
I think that's huge. We got about 5 minutes left here on this part 1 of a 2-part podcast for the Veterans for Cannabis podcast. Jeff Tabor, Masa Kenney are our guests today. And, Jeff, I think what you're just alluding to is a huge point. If we, and I think we could fix it, right? Instead of having the 2 years, if you sign up for 2 years, let's keep those men and women back stateside. All right, let's have if you haven't signed for 4 years, you don't deploy. Let's do the things that is all the terrifying issues for our parents, right? Oh, they're going to go to war, they're going to get killed. How about let's hold those back stateside for 2 years? If they do a 2-year service commitment, let's let them fill the spots. I think we could fix our issues right there, guys.
Yeah, I think so too. And what they were doing back then when Masa and I joined is that a lot of the MOSs that they were, and the way that they did it was based on your ASVAB score. So the only people that they let go in for 2 years were people who scored really high on the ASVAB. And so they did do it in a way that it was kind of, it wasn't open to anybody that wanted to do it. It was only open for a certain segment of people that took the entrance exam. But I think that they could rethink that.
Yeah.
They could make it to where, it's not just for those people who do make high on the test, that they could have it as a general way for people to enlist.
That's a phenomenal idea. I think that would be a great option. I think we could really make that happen. So, Jeff, in the last 30 years, since you and Masa both joined at the same time and served this country in the Army, what have you been doing for the last 28?
Oh, my gosh. Well, I I graduated from college in 1996, and I graduated with my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, and I became a registered nurse, and I worked mainly in the intensive care area and trauma, and since that point, I've worked in a variety of different areas, including disease management.
Wow.
I've worked for the Agency for Healthcare Administration in Florida with a disease management program for HIV, which was the first type of program like that of its kind.
Wow.
Also worked in industry some. I worked for a pharmaceutical company out of Germany and then a biopharmaceutical company here in the United States. And the last stint was as a national account manager for the Southeast U.S. and Puerto Rico. And then I went back to the bedside and started working in the ICU again. That was once I had ended up having young triplets, and I was gone all the time.
Oh, wow.
So my wife at the time, was about to kill me because she was stuck at home with 3 babies by herself. And then here within the last few years, within the last 5 years, I've gone into education. So I'm currently full-time faculty at a college of nursing here in the Tampa Bay area. And I went back to school, completed my master's degree, and later this year I will have my doctorate degree, my doctorate of practice, nursing practice. But
so,
I really
all right,
enjoyed
Jeff, I gotta ask a question real quick. So, Masa, 30 years ago, when you guys signed on the dotted line for 2 years for the Army, United States Army, and Jeff was calculating wind speeds and artillery direction to walk in and kill some enemies, did you think 30 years later that Jeff was going to be a doctor?
Absolutely. I knew he was.
That's awesome. Great answer, too.
Oh, God.
Well, okay, let me reframe that, guys. Jeff, did you think you were going to be a doctor 30 years ago?
No, I thought that I would just be a patient all my life. No,
Wow.
but really, I mean, it's something that I didn't even know that I was going to do until probably a few years ago. And when I moved here to the St. Petersburg area of Florida, I had relocated here from St. Augustine. I left St. Augustine, and I moved here without a job. I moved here without even knowing what I was going to do, and I relocated here because my kids relocated here. And so it was as much of a surprise to me as it is anybody else that I ended up going this route. But it's something that I've enjoyed, and it's something that I plan on continuing in one regard or another to stay within the field of education.
I think that's huge, and I think, there's a really great opportunity for us to help educate the community on cannabis, specifically from a medical standpoint. And, Jeff, I think you can have a huge impact in doing that. So we got a couple minutes left here on the Veterans for Cannabis podcast. As I mentioned before, this is part 1 of part 2 podcast with Masa and Jeff, the two gentlemen who will take us in the second segment into, Jeff, how you could potentially impact the cannabis industry moving forward. And in Masa, we know his impact. He's going to grow those babies and make the best medicine. But now you're going to help us determine how can we get to that best medicine practice in the second segment. So, Jeff, Masa, stay tuned. And everybody, keep tuned in here for the Veterans for Cannabis podcast. I'm Joshua Littrell, your host, signing off of part 1 of part 2.
Line over there, send the word over there, that the Yanks are coming, the drums coming everywhere, so prepare, say a prayer, send the word to beware, we'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there, over there.